your leadership style will still be very basic and very transactional.
In terms of educating boys specifically at that age when the brain is being evolving and you need to learn how to relationships as one is that's a good example of that. But from a point of view of to be a good leader, what it takes to be a good leader, and what are the things you think should be inculcated by practice, not just somebody's born to be a leader, but by practice, by hard work, by conscious choices, how one create good leaders or people who are more communal.
And I believe it's born and nature, so it's both. And in many ways, I think if I had to say a percentage, your experiences and opportunities actually have more of an influence on who you become as a leader. For me, two parts to it. One is with the family, to continue to develop an empathy, because without that empathy and EQ, your leadership style will still be very basic and very transactional. So, the greatest leaders I've seen, and even amongst our student population now, the ones that have high empathy and high EQ. So building those experiences and opportunities to be curious, to learn about others, but also understand how lucky we are in this country, but even for a school like Wesley, lucky country, lucky city, lucky school and lucky families. It's really important they get to learn how lucky they are, but also their privilege that they do have. So we have lots of experiences that we try and expose the students to the opportunity to learn more about others. And we have a wonderful Year 8 program that was well set up before I came, so I can't claim fame for it, but also I can talk about it proudly because it was done very well before I came to Wesley by previous leaders. But it's called Katajan, which is a Noongar word for to listen, important name as well, to listen. And there's 3 parts to this program where they're off-site, so they work from the West Australian rowing shed near Elizabeth Quay, so being geographically off the campus for a term. And then they finish with a camp at the end, which is an important part of finishing that term. And there's 3 parts to the Katajan experience. One is to learn more about your personality profiling, so they actually do some personality profiling. Learn more about your values, who are you? And at Year 8, that's a really important time to start thinking about that. And there's no doubt they ebb and flow throughout your life. But for a young person to stop and think at that stage, what are my values at this stage? So that's the first part. The second part is to learn more about leaders and leadership. And most importantly, there's not one style.
Which works.
Yeah, I mean, you need to be you. But also different situations require different styles of leadership. And if you think you can just do everything the same way, you're destined to have a pretty bumpy ride if that's your leadership style. And then the third part, particularly because of our privilege, is to learn more about others, less fortunate. So they connect with Tranby House, which is the Uniting Church outreach program for homeless people. And most importantly, they get to hear the real stories of people who've either homeless at that time or have been homeless at other times. And they learn more about disability, so they engage with wheelchair associations and learn more about that disability, but also engaging with Indigenous leaders and Indigenous people. And the camp actually finishes up on Marapur, which is north of Kalgoorlie, about probably 2.25 hours north of Kalgoorlie. And we've had relationships with the elders up on Marapur for over 20 years. And when they go on camp, they get to learn more from the elders about secret men's business, about connection to land and connection to culture. And I often say that every non-Indigenous Australian should actually go on a camp like that, because once you've been on one of those camps, you have a deeper understanding of Indigenous people all around the world, not just in Australia, about why they have these deep connections to land. And again, it's about empathy, about an understanding of why. The other part that we talk about all the way through the college is about service to others. Whatever way that, whether it's within your house, within your class, within the school, but also reaching out to other people outside the college. So, we're so proud that our students do so much for the community. Even our Year 12s, year after year, they don't have to volunteer, but each year, because we keep a tally of these things, they volunteer thousands of hours to others, and that's outside the community. So again, by the time they're leaving the college, the fact that they want to, there's no compulsion, they still want to serve others and help others, speaks to, I guess, the character and the empathy of trying to make the world a better place. So, but there's layers upon layers of trying to build that culture.